House. So guys, it has been a day. We've been me and Buck Bryce. We've been just
Hello.
yeah, that's Buck Bryce, you guys. We've been just working a lot and just doing a lot of things and stuff here at the Bhakti House, moving some things, doing some cleanup work around the ashram. And but I've been also doing a lot of content today. I've been putting a lot of content together on the website for you guys. And one of the things that I was doing today is I wrote an article, and it was like on the kind of the 9 paths of loving relationship with God from kind of a bhakti yoga perspective. And and guys, it's a little bit windy out here, so if you hear a little bit of background noise or a little bit of wind, we're actually here in the Kirtan. We call it Kirtan Park, but it's just it's a little park here in downtown. There's a lot of foot traffic around here and stuff, so we come down and we do like kirtan, we do the music and everything, and Bhakti Bryce does mridanga and percussion and stuff, and then I play harmonium and instrument. So but today I wanted to talk to you guys about Shraddha. So Shraddha is faith, okay? So Shraddha is a Sanskrit word for faith, and so that's really what it means. But in bhakti, faith doesn't really mean like blind faith, okay? So like when you think of like blind faith, it's not really like a blind belief. Like we're not just asking you to believe something blindly. It's actually about like kind of like a soft kind of trust. And it's just kind of a soft trust that spiritual life itself is just meaningful, okay? So it's kind of like we're saying like there's something sacred here and I want to know more. So that's kind of the theme that I really want to talk about on today's video. And of course, if you guys are interested, you can actually go to the blog post. Just go to TheBhaktiHouse.org, TheBhaktiHousE.org, and then you can click on the blog icon, and then you can see all the different content. And we've got content in Hindi, we've got content in English. I mean, you can pick your choice. But what I want to talk about today is about this idea of like soft trust. It's not nobody, like people say, oh, you should have blind faith, and like if you have faith can move mountains, if you have just like a little bit and this type of thing. And if you have like a soft faith or a soft trust, it's like we're just not really like ruling things out. We're keeping an open mind. We're being like open-minded about things. And it's just about like, how does it make me feel? And so in bhakti, we go a lot by feelings. Now, for some of you that have maybe done like Hindi lessons with me, or that have some of you guys that have hung around the Bhakti House long enough, you probably understand then that language in and of itself, like with Sanskrit in particular, and also with like Hindi and some of the other South Asian languages, there is a sense of feeling or emotion, a bhava, it's like a mood that originates from different types of linguistic contraptions, things that we put together, and it's a way of expressing ourselves emotionally. And so these languages are very emotional, and it kind of comes out in terms of mood. And so it's about the way things make us feel and the way that we make other people feel in terms of the way that we communicate or the way that we express ourselves. And so in bhakti, it's very gentle, almost in some ways passive, but it's also just like you can think in terms of like how you typically go about expressing yourself, how you go about like just carrying yourself on in life. And sometimes when we're very stressed out, or we've had a bad day, or it seems like nothing can go right, our language and our attitude, our mindset, and even our emotions will mimic that very often. So it's like our emotions will sometimes mimic our experiences, or our perception of our experiences. And there are different people handle things differently, right? So sometimes people, if you get somebody more on the spectrum of like completely detached, or just kind of devoid of emotion or devoid of feeling, that when things happen to them, they're just like, oh well, what can I do about it, and then they just kind of accept it, and they just don't really sweat it. They don't really worry about it. It's not affecting them emotionally. On the other hand, you know, sometimes there's different levels, right? Somebody might be very extreme on the emotional scale, and when they're feeling something, it's kind of like music, you know, as you're going up the octave, you know, you might feel something like, you know, some notes might affect you differently. You get into a kind of like a minor key or something like that, and you start to have these kind of emotional resonance and stuff. It's kind of the same thing that we might express kind of emotionally. And so that might be like what mirrors. Something happens, we perceive it in a very deep and meaningful way that affects us very emotionally. And that emotion and our reactions to those emotions tend to come out as well. And so music itself has a way of like, you know, affecting us or influencing us or causing us to feel certain ways or to experience things in a different way. And so when it comes to like God, or it comes to like spiritual beliefs, or it comes to like different people have different moods or different experiences, and you know, as we come to pray or we come to like meditate or we go to do yoga, or you know, somebody's got a fast car here and they've got it all souped up. And so, you know, that might make a person feel a certain way. You know, some people may have like an adverse reaction to that loud noise, for example. You know, I'm talking the utilization principle here. We utilize what's in front of us, right? But what I wanted to tell you guys is, like when it comes to like the faith itself, you know, like faith can be like, in a sense, kind of like determined based on how a person feels in the moment. You know, and like I remember way back in the day, you know, I was in college, and at one point I was a music major, and so I was listening to music, and I was in class, and the instructor was explaining that different people hear sounds differently, and he was expressing how like music is an oral experience, and that you hear it and then it's gone. So it's transient, just like our life is transient, just like really anything in our life is. You look around you at anything, and at some point, it will not be in existence any longer. And I'm not here to be Debbie Downer or nothing, you guys, but the idea here is to just kind of recognize that, you know, your experiences, your emotional experience is in some ways, determined by your mood, or, you know, by your emotions or your willingness to accept something or reject it. So, and depending on how you feel, or you know what's going on in your life and different things, you may experience those same things quite differently. So to have meaning in your life, to have like a positive experience, to have things that are, you know, really helping you, moving your life forward in a direction that's positive, that is uplifting, that is desirable. And you know, we can do that with our faith, and we can do that with the way that we perceive things. And if we're like just cognizant, or you know, kind of matter of fact on things, and you know, we can look at things and get some kind of an experience from it. Now, sometimes, you know, you might read a novel or you might read a book, and you know, you become so absorbed in that novel. We call it narrative transportation theory, like in psychology, where we actually become like the characters in that book. Like we start to feel what they feel, or experience mentally kind of like what they're feeling. And so we become kind of hypnotized to whatever's going on in that. And the same thing can be said of music. The same thing can be said of like if you're sitting in a kirtan group, or if you're saying some prayers and things like that. We can be very mesmerized by the ambiance and the mood and the experience and things. So sometimes we try to create a nice space when we're doing meditation, or we're doing sadhana, our spiritual discipline, or we're saying our prayers. Sometimes it's not always convenient to do that, right? Sometimes you're just, well, for example, here, you know, we're just kind of at a, you know, a park table here, you know, it's in a beautiful, there's a lot of foot traffic and traffic and stuff that's in this area. You know, somebody may not feel necessarily as comfortable saying some prayers, or, you know, doing some chanting or whatever. Sometimes it's just about doing it because you feel the impetus, you know, like to do it. And it doesn't matter what other people think. It doesn't matter, you know, any of these things. You can have a good heart and just, you know, let yourself be who you feel you want to be, you know, without any constraints or without anyone really holding you back. And so, Shraddha, this idea of faith, you know, your experiences can sometimes determine like how faithful you are, or like how driven you are towards your faith or how important your faith is necessarily to you. And I think that's just an interesting way of kind of looking at it. Some people say, oh, I have blind faith, I mean, faith can move mountains and all these kind of things. But in what context does that really happen? Like, what experience are you having? I mean, if you're in a really busy lunch cafeteria and there's a lot of hectic energy around, it's not that you're not faithful, but your mindset may be in a different place to where you're not really focused on God or spirituality or religion or anything on that end. Nothing that's in that. You may be focused on a completely different mindset. So the idea, like in Bhakti, is to take whatever experiences that you have around you and to kind of utilize those. And just a simple thought, and not to beat yourself up or anything, but just a simple thought of God or some remembrance or, to have some kind of like an experience and all. And that's sometimes enough, And then other times, you may feel very inclined, you may have more time, the atmosphere may dictate it more, that you can actually put into place a nice time, a nice space, so that you can, embrace God, say your prayers, do your spiritual discipline, chant the Maha Mantra. Just sometimes silence is enough, right? Just have a silent moment where you can just kind of meditate, let your mind just kind of relax and ease, and that can be very nourishing. And there's positive benefit in that, right? So like this idea of like, well, what benefits do you receive from things? What is the point in having no beliefs or some beliefs or a myriad of different types of beliefs? Or, sometimes we pull things in, sometimes we throw things out. Some things work for us now in this moment, but they might not work for us in another moment. And these are the kind of things. It's like I was talking about with the sound of music, You hear a song one moment and stuff, and it affects you in that moment, and then it's gone, right? And then it's no longer relevant to that particular bhava, that emotion or that feeling that you're trying to experience. Can you recreate those experiences? In some ways, yes, of course. If you want to go back and listen to the song, or if you have like a certain place where you do your prayers every day, where you light your incense, you ring your bell, whatever rituals it is that you're following, these are things that can be very meaningful, and they can be like repeated. And those are the kind of things that when it comes to like relationships, it can be a relationship with God, but this also follows suit with human beings as well, people, pets, that type of thing. When we are, having faith, or we're having some kind of a secureness in who we are as individuals, sometimes we have to have faith in ourselves before we can have faith in other things, and to see things in that regard. We can ask different questions like, well, what is the purpose of my life? Can prayer really change my heart? Is God really listening to me? Why do I feel drawn to chanting? Why do I feel drawn to like lighting some incense and just in letting the scent of that, waft through the air and, create some kind of nice and meaningful things, And so in our community, like, we're a very open community, and, different people experience, beliefs, lack thereof, whatever, in different ways. And so we keep a very open and positive mind, and that's what Bhakti really is all about. And of course, we have many different articles that you guys can check out on the blog as well that cover all these different types of things that I'm kind of throwing out there, kind of in a general sense. If you want to go deeper, you definitely can. We have a lot of content on there for you guys to go deeper. But Shraddha itself is really the seed of Bhakti. So you say, well, what is Bhakti and all? Well, Bhakti is this devotional service, and then yoga means to connect. So we're connecting with the divine through service, through our actions, our activities, through our kind words, through every action that we perform. It becomes sort of an offering to the divine, to our higher self, or to Krishna or Jesus, however you see it, whatever creates that devotional state within you, that's really it. And so faith doesn't really necessarily have to be that dramatic, it can just kind of begin as a question, like I mentioned, like sometimes we just ask ourselves, well, what is the purpose of my life? Why am I here? What is really the reason for all of this? Why are the things in my life happening to me the way that they're happening to me? Am I a victim of this? Am I creating this, or is it just randomly being created? These are the kind of things, like on philosophical level, that we come into trying to understand, or trying to understand. And sometimes we just get so bombarded with it, and it becomes so much for us to try to take in that we just kind of dismiss it outright. So that goes back to what I was saying in the beginning when I was talking about like how, different people, depending on like what moods they come into their spiritual life on a day-to-day basis, or situational type of thing. There's that car again, if you guys can hear it.
How could they not hear it?
Dr. Bryce says, how can you guys not hear that loud noise? So anyway, guys, so, a person, may hear some chanting, when we do our kirtan here in the park and stuff, and we're chanting the Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Well, that, depending on the environment, the atmosphere, the ambience, all the things that go into it, have a determining thing. So I don't know if it was Dr. Bryce over here I was talking to one time, or if it was someone else, but we were talking about churches and, the architecture of churches and stuff and how they were developed. And, you've got like huge, from the floor to the ceiling, a lot of space that's really up. And so when you go in, you feel like such a small person in a really big room. And then they have the memorabilia, and they have all the different stained glass windows with the stories in those windows and all. It becomes almost like a museum, and it was developed, to create a certain mood or a certain atmosphere to give a certain experience, to the person coming in. And, and we do that in life also. Like if you're in a place and it has a certain meaning to you, if you go back and you think about when you first fell in love, maybe that place brings back those memories, where we have kind of these anchored responses to these experiences that we've had. And they can bring back the emotion, and everything can start welling up within us. And in some ways, that can create our faith and help us with our beliefs and how we perceive things. So I just wanted to talk a little bit today about faith, guys, and kind of, look at it from a different lens, kind of from a different perspective, what Shraddha really is. And just kind of bring into this alignment of like, sometimes we want to just have strong opinions, and be like on one side of the spectrum or on the other side of the spectrum. But sometimes it's enough with faith just to approach it in a very soft way, in a way that's just kind of like, we don't we don't have to overthink it. We can just accept it nicely, just in a nice, easy way. That's enough sometimes. And when I said that, like, Shraddha is the seed of bhakti, it really is where everything really starts to come into play at. And it could be that you're influenced by the community, the effect that just we're human beings. We like to be around people. We like association with other devotees and people that share things in common with us. So people tend to navigate or group themselves accordingly to whatever their interests and particular things are that they're interested in. Here in our bhakti community, we have people that are interested in bhakti and, kirtan and, just looking at the world through a more spiritual type of lens, however that looks like to the individual. And we come together collectively to help each other and to serve the community and to serve each other and to serve the bigger community. That's all of you guys out here watching us now, or, just having some kind of positive experience. Oh, I see that ROCGF, he just responded. He says, dude, God does not exist. Okay, fantastic. Can I take over? You can.
I'm glad you posted that, because I was thinking about something. It's actually great, and it's fine that you don't believe in a God. Because bhakti doesn't require that. Bhakti is selfless service, and in fact, it's the complete thing. I was thinking about this the other day. I think I was talking to somebody, and or I read it. I may have read it. I don't know. I don't remember where it came from. But somebody posted something and said they were asked by somebody, how can you how can you not, you know, I want to remember how to say this correctly.
You can say it wrong.
If you don't believe, if you don't believe in God, why don't you, kill people and murder people as much as you want? And the person replied, I do kill and murder and rape people as much as I want. And so I think, and that goes along with bhakti, because bhakti is just selfless service. You do it because you want to. You don't do it because you have to. You're not doing it because somebody's telling you to. You're not doing it because it's written somewhere that you have to do this. You're just doing it because you want to. That's all that bhakti is. So whether you believe in a God or don't believe in a God, it makes no difference. You can still practice bhakti. And that's really just all I wanted to add.
Guys, it's so rare these days that we get Bhakti Bryce actually on the channel. So yeah, ROCGF, thank you so much for your statement there. We do appreciate it. And of course, welcome to the Bhakti House. We're glad to have you here. So yeah, wonderful. Good comment there. We love that. If you have anything that you'd like to add to it or follow up and stuff just on what Bhakti Bryce had said, feel welcome to do that. So when it comes to like faith, it could just be small things. It could be like offering food to other people. It could be helping people in general. We help each other out all the time. In fact, Bhakti Bryce was doing a lot of help earlier today. We were moving some things from one location to the Bhakti House, and it's some manual labor. It's just like physical work and that. And we got really hot and sweaty, and but it's just it's service. We do it because we like.
Which is why I didn't want to be on camera.
It's all good, but you can visit a spiritual place, right? And you can visit a spiritual place like visiting a temple or a church or synagogue or a mosque or something like that, and you can still get appreciation from it, whether you believe in God or not, if you choose to. I mean, if it's in your wheelhouse, if it's something that you want to do. And sometimes it's just nice to go to some place that's whether it's a museum or like a really old church or something, and you can get kind of like the vibe, right? And I mean, think about it. That's why, like, if you go to a restaurant, they have different marketing and stuff within that restaurant to attract people of a certain nature. And sometimes those restaurants may resonate with some people, and they might not resonate with other people. So that's kind of the same thing. So like when it comes to nurturing your faith, it can just be like just taking some small step in that direction. You could, regardless if you have a belief in God or anything, you can still pray to God, whether you believe or not. If you choose to, if you want to. Otherwise, if you think it's pointless, then don't, But sometimes it's nice to try new things and just, take a leap of faith in a certain direction, regardless of what your beliefs are. Beliefs are also subject to change, just like music is subject to change, just like, day turns into night, and then you have a different emotional connection to the nighttime. At nighttime and stuff, I'm a little bit more, it feels, I have a resonation to the nighttime a little bit more probably so than I do the daytime. Some people are the opposite. They really like the bright sunniness of the day where everything is very visible and stuff. At nighttime, I just feel more introverted. Like it's quieter, it's stiller. Like it's a good time to just curl up with a good book. Certain seasons are the same way for me personally. In the winter time, especially here in Michigan, we get maybe 9 months of winter here, and it can be really, really cold, and we can have a lot of snow. And
he's exaggerating.
Maybe to some degree, yeah. But anyway, guys, it's it can be very cold, and that can create a certain ambiance or a certain vibe. Like lo-fi music, for example. There's sometimes like if a student is studying their schoolwork, they might have the headphones on and they're listening to that low frequency music. It has a certain thing and it helps people to concentrate. Just kind of, it's in the background of their mind, and they're just just kind of going through the motions and getting the schoolwork done and absorbing whatever it is they need to absorb in terms of their lessons, and they get it that way. And so, these are just things that you can think about and whatnot. But creating these spiritual moments for yourself is a gift that you give yourself. Your feelings about those things are whatever you choose to make of it. It's not what other people think. It's not what other people tell you to believe or not to believe. It has nothing to do with what I try to influence you, or Dr. Bryce here tries to influence you. It has nothing to do with that. It's what is it within your heart? Like, what is it that you're experiencing? And to me, I guess you could kind of think of it, I guess for me personally, I kind of think it as like, that's the influence of faith in my life, is how I choose to kind of perceive things, and what experience do I really want to get from, being connected to devotees like Dr. Bryce here and the other devotees at our Bhakti house here. And, and these are things that are faith deepening for me personally. Now, they may not be for everybody. I mean, I'm not here to talk for everyone. Oh, we've got the Amtrak, you guys. Probably coming in from Chicago, I think. The old Wolverine Express.
I'm sure they can't hear it.
I'm sure you guys can't hear that. Dr. Bryce says he's funny like that, you guys. He just likes to give me a hard time sometimes, That's what us devotees do. We give each other a hard time. In a loving way. But yeah, if you guys are interested, check out the blog post today. It's the 9 stages of Bhakti. It's a complete guide. In that blog post, to go into a lot of different things as far as like Bhakti Yoga and the path of loving relationship with God. And, like what Dr. Bryce was kind of saying, it's not really reserved for like any one particular culture, one language, any one kind of person. Bhakti means devotion or loving service. And yoga means connection. And so Bhakti Yoga is a process of kind of reconnecting ourselves, reconnecting the heart rather, with the divine through love, chanting, prayer, the selfless service that we do, sacred study, whether it's if you're drawn to a particular religious text or something, whatever it is that draws you closer to the divine, and whatever gives you spiritual growth, whatever that looks like for you, that's Bhakti. So that's really all I wanted to say with you guys today and stuff. I wanted just to give a little bit of perspective on Bhakti and kind of what that looks like. Guys, I usually like to keep these to around 20 minutes, but it's a beautiful day out here. We are just kind of relaxing from just a lot of work that we did today. We did a lot of service today, and so it's kind of a cool day. So when you get to the end of the day, it's like we start to relax a little bit. And in fact, we were looking at, I can't remember exactly what the name of the guy is, but we were watching
Jacob Collier.
Yeah, Jacob Collier. You guys can check out his YouTube channel, I guess, right? They can check out his YouTube channel, Dr. Bryce. Dr. Bryce was actually introducing me to this, a musician, and he plays like 30 different instruments, and he goes in front of like orchestras, like the Philharmonic Orchestra.
That was the San Francisco.
The San Francisco Orchestra. That was one of the videos we watched today. And, he was able to create, like, I think some Coldplay songs and different things just from getting, it was pretty neat. I will say that. It was really neat to see the way that the music came about through, him being the orchestra of that, the maestro.
I didn't want to say it out loud just in case you didn't like that idea.
That sounds good.
Okay.
So, so we're just doing things, kind of on a whim today, but we're trying to stay pretty, you guys know me, we've been doing a lot of work this year and we've got a lot of things going on. And so if you guys want to support the community and stuff like that, definitely check out the website. We have the donation button on there and stuff like that. We'll take you to PayPal. You can give a one-time donation, or if you want to become like a member of the Bhakti House, well, you guys are all members regardless. We love everybody. But you can go in there and stuff. If you want to do like a monthly commitment and stuff, you can definitely do that as well. And some of the commitment levels, in fact, are like, I think $54. You can sponsor a kirtan every single month, and that's like us putting together the entire kirtan program and stuff. We do video. We can do videos. We could do videos of that stuff, couldn't we?
Yeah.
I didn't think about that, but we could.
We could actually live stream from here.
Yeah, we could live stream the kirtans and stuff right here from where we do it, because we have the
We have Wi-Fi.
Wi-Fi and everything in this area, and electric and everything as well to keep the phones going and stuff. So we could, if you want to sponsor a kirtan, we will do that. We'll put that together and stuff like that, do the live streams, and then we can all as a community enjoy those live streams. So if anyone wants to do that, that'd be great. And then if you go, I think there's $108 level, which is a full round, a full mala. And that is, if you want to sponsor like like an entire program that we put together and everything for everyone. So we do the kirtan, and then if you guys want to do like, like the entire program and stuff like that, $108 would give us the resources that we need to make that happen. And then that gets other people involved, and other people can learn about bhakti and spread good vibes and good love, and depending on whatever is their inclination and stuff, and totally open to that kind of stuff as well. And then if you just want to be like a devotee and just kind of give regularly, $25 would be great. If you have less than that is fine. Whatever is in your heart to give, that's all that's required ever, right? We're not like trying to hound people or anything. But definitely does help, and then you would see the value of it, because we would actually put together the programs and stuff like that and live stream them, and full transparency and everything. In fact, on our website we have a spreadsheet, and it has like all the expenses, everything that we spend money on and stuff that's necessary, our bills every month. You can get full transparency. You can click on that document and you can see everything that that is required that we have to purchase. So you see where your donation dollars are actually going to, and what good we do, and all that kind of stuff. So anyways, guys, I guess that's about it for today. We're about 31 minutes, almost 32 minutes into this live stream. And like I said, I try not to make them too long, because I know people get a little, you lose things after a little bit. And I didn't want you to lose kind of the main point of the live stream today, which is just understanding about Shraddha and faith, and about like really what faith is, and just kind of having that conversation and thinking about it, even the lack thereof, until you see the contrast and you see things going on. So anyways, guys, I just want to say much love and many blessings, and Hare Krishna. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and click the bell notification and stuff, and then every time we come on, which is very random sometimes, you can get notifications of that. And then if you want to share in the dialogue, share in the conversation, you're more than welcome to do that. We invite everybody into our community, so you're loved. Anyways, much love and many blessings. Hare Krishna. Thank you, guys. Have a wonderful day. Bye.